Yeah, I like it. I like the polythene bags they wrap the supplements in. I work in polythene and the quality's really good.
I like it a lot, but when I read it, it sounds a bit funny in my head.
I'll buy it just to see if I'm going to be in it.
I don't think they should have moved it from 9 o'clock.
What I like about it is the shape.
Well, it's essential. I have a guinea pig.
What's great about it is it's like a website that you can hold in your hands. If you think about it, the paper's like a search engine. You log on by opening it, and the pages are like web page.
Contents page. .comrades, pages 10 to 15. Simone Malcolm traces the effects of the IT revolution on the Communist Party.
Making a thong and trance about it. Hypnotist Paul McKenna tries on the latest G-strings, pages 31 to 35.
Steve Matthews investigates how a new charity is allowing fans of ITV's Coronation Street free web access so they can find out more about their favourite soap in Kind Hearts and Corrie Nets, pages 70 to 72.
Vanessa Hall finds out how accidents can happen behind the scenes at the River Cafe. Fridge over troubled waiter, pages 38 to 40.
Star Trek star Leonard Nimoy experiences the delights of the island of Malta in the Maltese Vulcan, page 88.
IKEA and Tina Turner. The singing superstar explores her favourite furniture store, pages 7.
Louise Morris investigates the phenomenon of the growing number of Steps tribute bands in the 39 Steps.
These days, everyone has a personal fitness trainer, garden designer, dietitian, stress counsellor and financial advisor. But a personal entertainment counsellor? Nikki Kemp, Britain's only lawyer for victims of rogue hairdressers, has one.
When Henry Curtis gave me his card at a party, I could hardly believe my eyes. Personal entertainment counsellor? What on earth is that? I inquired. You mean you don't have one? Shrieked my cosmopolitan hostess. Then how on earth do you get entertained? She had a point. I'm at a loss to know what to view or listen to most evenings. A video or television? Which channel? What's this Channel 5? Enter Henry Curtis.
Top left.
Henry has been my personal entertainment counsellor
Peck.
for 6 months, and my life has been transformed. I used to watch the dullest programmes, believing them to be educational, or I would watch entertaining programmes, but with a nagging feeling that I was letting myself down. Now, Henry supplies a timetable every evening, based on a psychological profile which was 6 weeks in the making. He insisted that I needed a complete makeover in the entertainment department. The first thing Henry did was destroy my collection of classical albums. You're not too old to listen to Britney Spears, he explained.
Health style. Too much health can make you ill.
Doctors are increasingly concerned that healthy lifestyles can make people ill. Even moderate healthy living can cause problems. A balanced healthy diet, a fairly stress-free life, enjoyable relationships and moderate exercise are the hidden signs of impending hospitalisation.
He then cancelled my subscription to The Spectator and piled my bedroom high with copies of Cosmo, Minx and New Woman. Live a little, and I'm getting rid of that. That was my entire bookcase. Being 35 doesn't mean you have to read books. In a few days, the makeover was complete. No longer am I embarrassed by having missed the latest trendy drama or hip comedy show. My TV automatically tunes to programmes that have a lot of flashing lights and young people.
Picture top right.
It will permit a serious documentary, but only long enough to get the basic gist, not all the boring details. I take in just enough South Park not to sound like an old fogey amongst the younger set. And I can hold my own with teenagers about Hollyoaks, Neighbours or Robot Wars. I feel 10 years younger, and although I also feel a lot stupider, Henry tells me that's all part of the fun. Pretty soon, I will start talking in a Mockney accent with a touch of Australian, and I'll start going up at the end of sentences. I'm really grateful to Henry for putting me on the right track. His new book, Entertain Yourself Young, is out now. Price £9.99.
Top 10 sofas at IKEA.
Smorgasbord.
Klartfunken.
Sprunch.
Moldy.
Kleftiwinkle.
Hammersborgen.
Bjornthorden.
Fjord Krudi.
Klafton Punkel.
Krapnamen.
Top 5 cappuccino outlets in Pimlico.
Cafe Afghanistan.
Aftertaste.
Cafe Caligula.
Original cinnamon.
Frothies.
10 governmental priorities. Distant cousins.
Each week, 2 people who've achieved success in their own field explain how much their relationship with their distant cousin has contributed to that success.
This week, Polly Jones, whose second novel, Single and Desperate, was recently published in paperback, and her fourth cousin, once removed by marriage and twice removed by Pickford's, Graham Marsh, the presenter of the TV gardening makeover show, Changing Blooms.
I think that when I was growing up, the fact that I knew I had a cousin who lived about 100 miles away and used to send me a Christmas card every year was very important. I think it's influenced the way I write my novels. Perhaps it's affected my subconscious in some way, I don't know. In my first novel, Single and Hopeless, there was a character who went out to dinner with one of her cousins. Not that Graham and I have ever been out to dinner, but I'm sure that I would never have thought up the idea if I didn't have a cousin.
I've never looked on Polly as a cousin.
Health style.
Happiness, a major cause of depression.
Happy people are 8 times more prone to clinical depression than the clinically depressed, says Dr. Flech, a completely unknown scientist.
To me, she's been more like a sister. Obviously the sort of sister that I hardly ever see, but there's always been a special bond between us. I remember when the first series of Changing Blooms won Programme of the Year in the Gardeners Quarterly Awards. Polly sent me an email saying congratulations. That's the sort of person she is.
When I was young, I always knew that Graham was there for me. Although when I say there for me, by there I mean Northampton. I always knew that Graham was in Northampton for me.
Before Polly became a novelist, she was a journalist, and I'll never forget that she once interviewed me for the local newspaper she was working on. At the time, I was doing a gardening advice spot on BBC Radio Northampton. It was quite a big article she did, and there was a picture. So I like to think I played some part in her success.
Inside your new Sunday format today.
Inside.
Inside. Our new Insider's Guide to what goes on the inside in anything that's in, only in Inside. Inside today's Sunday format.
Television.
The week ahead, in full on television in brief.
Big Brother behind bars.
ITV, Thursday, 10 till 11.
10 prisoners in a purpose-built cell block. Each week, viewers select who they want to be set free. The last contestant remaining has their sentence increased. The Machiavellian machinations of Mick have shocked the nation. Can a criminal really be that evil? And can he get away with it? Or will the quiet, wrongly convicted Tom win out in the end? Gripping stuff.
Big Brother chefs.
BBC One, Wednesday, 7:30 to 8.
A group of 10 chefs locked in a purpose-built kitchen for 10 weeks. With no contact with the outside world, they have nothing to do but cook. The shock of the series so far? Delia Smith being unceremoniously booted out after refusing Anthony Worrell Thompson's advances.
Literality.
Writer's block. Author Tim Aldrich explains why he has never written anything. I'm an author without a single sentence to my name, which is a hard cross to bear.
Big Sister.
BBC 2, Sunday, 6 till 7.
100 nuns are put in a purpose-built convent with cameras in every room. The public are then invited to vote out those sisters who show the least faith, tolerance, chastity, etc. The losers are ejected one by one from the convent until only one nun is left. That lucky nun will then be canonised. This latest twist on the genre shows little in the way of innovation. Also, the whole vow of chastity thing seems to make the entire enterprise somewhat pointless.
Big Mother.
Channel 4, Wednesday, 7:30 to 8.
Visuality.
Art for artichoke's sake.
India Spago takes polythetic delight in an idiosyncratically pulsating quasar in London's restaurant firmament, which also gives a belated and long-needed jolt to the access to the London art world, which, as we all know, has been in terminal decline for the last 10 days.
Entering any De Vries van Mecklenburg restaurant has, of course, always been an experience to generate ambivalent, contradictory feelings, as my dining companion pointed out.
Mecklenburg, the Galileo of the food art world.
And indeed, Mecklenburg is nothing if not, well, Mecklenburgian. Who could forget, for instance, the street people employed as greeters in his first Manhattan venture, angioplasty, or the salmon and myrtle bean mousse served as a dessert at Brer Rabbit and only permitted to patrons who had previously asked if the sea bream were wild or farmed.
Health style.
Tall people are short.
Cambridge scientists have released startling data which overturns many of our assumptions about ourselves. Tallness, for example, has been long associated with people who are taller than short people. But genetic probes have codified genealogical DNA, and it's now thought that the taller you are, the more likely you are to be short.
Can it really be 5 years since we were served caviar and vodka at Glacet by stoned, vacant, heroin-chic wannabe models who would only respond to loud and persistent verbal abuse?
Remarked my companion in disbelief. Well, the good news that we will never again need to travel to Manhattan or Sarajevo if the only purpose of our visit is to dine at one of Mecklenburg's restaurants. Of course, it was in London that Mecklenburg trained, at the Slade, where his edible State Mentor exhibition first brought his talent to the public eye. In those early days, Mecklenburg was considered a young Turk. He was fearless, iconoclastic, young, Turkish.
Health style.
A drink to your health.
Could you be an alcoholic? You may be the last to know. Fill out this short questionnaire.
Question 1. Have you been diagnosed as an alcoholic by your GP?
A, yes.
B, no.
If you ticked A above, then you could be at risk. Try cutting down the amount of alcohol you drink.
Remember, 1 unit of alcohol is equivalent, and 3 units correspond.
Music.
CD reviews.
Rocket Magazine's Peter D'Artagnan and Jodie Lemac continue with their review of the month's best new CDs. Norton Antivirus System Check Utility. Norton Software, $25.99.
Though a big seller stateside, initial impressions of this latest Norton release belied no flair for songwriting, lyrical expressionism, nor haunting melodic swoops of choral tunesmithery. Was the simple message, error disc is invalid, cocking an ironic snook at the excesses of zeitgeist Britpop, I pondered. But this reviewer remains unconvinced. Overall, deeply uninspiring and not a patch on Radiohead's seminal fin de siècle classic, OK Computer. Rating 3 stars.
Berlitz, Speak It Like a Native, Teach Yourself Spanish in 30 Days Home Study Course. Berlitz, $12.99.
Inspired, no doubt, by Ricky Martin's 1999 club smash Livin' La Vida Loca, Mambo No. 5 and the Gypsy Kings, I anticipated an ebullient guitar festive thrashing Latino trip funk handbag hop groove with perhaps Somalian lute, Tanzanian umbira and husky 40 spliffs a day vocal vibe thrown in for good measure. Instead, I got a lo-fi acoustic medley of a middle-aged lady called Maria asking repeatedly for 3 train tickets to Alicante and something for stomachache, please. Not my cup of Retsina, but could be this summer's surprise club hit if remixed by Tall Paul. Rating 2 stars.
Has the Blair bubble burst?
Striking primary colour statements on a piece of pizza dough nailed to a wall, blast grilled peppers sharing sauce room with marinated coriander seeds, and a rice salad collage mixed with engine parts that seem to challenge our lazy complacent acceptance of the categories of things. Eat me and I'll kill you, his dishes seem to say. And with what terrifying fervour he ran berserk in the gallery, naked but for his trademark moustaches, proffering shale and shellfish canapé, threatening patrons with a rusty blade and yelling, "Eat them or I'll kill you."
In today's all-new Sunday format, our new section.
The new section.
Our new section devoted to everything new that you should know about but never knew.
That, of course, was 1986, and we have perhaps never since seen such a vibrant comment on the nature of the id, and arguably never before. It's up there with the Ali Foreman rumble in the jungle as an iconic indictment of human primality. Eat or I'll kill you. And people did, terrified, then amused and relieved to discover the oily engine parts were actually made from brawn and compacted sweetbreads. Mecklenburg's new establishment, Via Vedana, is located in a small alley in Hoxton, which does not appear on the A to Z. From the outside, it looks like a small motorcycle repair shop. To the cognoscenti, of course, this is a satirical comment on Mecklenburg's obsession with Marinetti and the Italian futurists, which, of course, he used as the underpinning concept in his first West Coast exhibition snack bar, The Futility of Cheese. The Futility of Cheese, a pizza joint from which dairy products were entirely banned, of course so enraged the Italian population of San Francisco that death threats against Mecklenburg were issued on a daily basis. They ended, of course, but Mecklenburg got what he wanted, publicity, and also what he didn't want, violently beaten up.
Totally Pelvic, the new hip.
The Sunday Format's guide to where it's at now in our new Cut Out and Keep guide, which you can cut out and keep, but should throw away on Thursday.
Polenta is the new pasta.
Albanian is the new black.
Costa Rica is the new Cuba.
Grenache is the new Sauvignon Blanc.
Tuesdays only.
Sushi is the new Black Forest Ghetto.
Gardening is the new skateboarding.
Rock and roll is the new rock and roll.
Affabilité is the new insouciance.
And now he returns to London. The ambience behind the detritus of the reception area is immediately recognisable as 14th century Venice, but with a twist. Imagine the streets of San Marco transplanted to a rainforest and you're there. Mangoes may be picked at will, turbaned waitresses and belly-dancing waiters bring water and perfumed rice. We are led to a table where my companion enjoys the amuse-gueule, flash-fried peacock feathers, saddle of bat, tortilla chips, but is less impressed by the proximity of our table to an open drain.
Picture top right.
I chuckle and remind her that Via Vedana is, of course, Malayan for stomachache. The stench recedes with time and joss sticks, and we consume the crispy monkey salad and baby banana curry with gusto. I was less impressed with the mongoose and plantain doses, where the minimal use of tamarind seemed to imbue its raison d'etre with an insouciant triviality.
The Infinancial, the Sunday format's new money section.
Money Doctor.
Case study.
Sally and Vincent,
Picture top left.
share a large family house in Eastbourne, much to the annoyance of Ian Brown, whose house it is. Sally is 42 with a full-time job teaching pupils. Vincent is a jobbing nuclear physicist and is often at a loose end in the summer months when work is light. After a busy couple of weeks before Christmas, splitting atoms for BNFL, Vincent is back at home watching daytime TV. They have 2 children, Stephen, Mike and Norman.
We're both careful with money,
Says Vincent, who has an ISA, 2 sachets, a Letitia and an index-free Shat. The Shat has performed brilliantly, but the sachet has fallen below the Bowstairs market forefinger. Sally wonders if they should pixelate their savings or keep it safely in a twice-yearly interest-rimmed suppository bond, or switch their endowment to a variable with profits pant. Accountant Andrew Kemp.
The new pant is a place to keep your cash accessible whilst at the same time getting a lot of interest.
Stockbroker Simone Flint.
I suggest the Vincents don't rush into anything. Shop around for the pant that is right for them. After the mis-selling scandal of last year, many of my clients are left with worthless pants.
But it is in the lavatories that de Vries van Mecklenburg really excels. 2/3 of the restaurant's floor space is devoted to the sumptuous bathrooms, with 120 cubicles in the ladies'
Above left, top right, middle, second from right.
and 75 in the men's. The urinal is fashioned from a single slab of Balinese emerald soapstone, which reaches from floor to ceiling. As I stood there gazing into the semi-reflective viridescence, I wondered if I was the only one to see in this a semi-satirical poke at Rothko, and also made a mental note to check my thesaurus for another word for green. That's the kind of place Via Vedana is. And do not deceive yourselves, you will use the toilets. Mecklenburg surreptitiously laces everything with subtle blends of obscure and arcane purgatives, diuretics and laxatives, known only to masters of Ayurvedic medicine.
Angus Wilson is on holiday.
For let us not forget that Mecklenburg is first and foremost an artist, a social commentator. Consuming art, enjoying it as one destroys it, deriving nourishment from it, transforming it into excrement. The full life experience is here. Not so much a meal, rather a potent, dare one say neo-Swiftian comment on our times.
Via Vedana Hoxton. Dinner for 2, £400.
Brit happens.
Since the international success of so-called Britcoms like Rich Crim Thriller, Cockney, Stepney and a Double Barrel, everybody wants a piece of Brit film, including Hollywood in America. Kerry Durnford reports on what they're all calling the Brit Naissance.
Lights, camera, actor.
Acton, the West London suburb in Britain, has suddenly become the hottest movie location around, beating off Australia, Toronto, Wales and other more traditional non-British places and countries. Film crews are clamouring to exploit the Acton, Chiswick, Shepherd's Bush area, and at least one major Hollywood producer is currently scouting around Ravenscourt Park for the next Ben Affleck, Kevin Kline vehicle. It's all because the Chiswick-set gangster movie Death in Chiswick became last summer's surprise, slow-burning, word-of-mouth indie sleeper hit, smashing US box office records for best non-holiday opening for a non-American non-sequel without a freeze-frame ending.
Obituaries.
Sir Donald Treacher.
Sir Donald Treacher was without doubt the greatest actor of his generation, the last of the dying breed. We met at RADA. I was playing lead in most of the end-of-term productions, and my Jimmy Porter is something Donald and I still talked about till the end. We were perhaps closest during my spell on Z-Cars, in which I played Sergeant Harris and appeared on the front cover of Radio Times no less than 3 times during the 60s, still a record. I then spent 2 years at the RSC and would frequently meet up with Sir Donald, who was always generous with his praise. He remarked that my Banquo had a fierce yet poetic quality that he had not seen since Olivier. Sir Donald was always sorry he missed my award speech for Best Actor from the Evening Standard in 1972, my Best Supporting Actor award in 1974, and being thanked by the writer of the Best New Play award in 1975. I then went on to do some marvellous cameo roles in films, which Donald and I used to watch over and over again on video. He particularly loved my role of third villain in Hard Men, a little-known British film which Sir Donald always said deserved more recognition and a TV release.
Death in Chiswick was emblematic of a new spirit of enterprise, creativity and spare funding in the British film industry, or Brit film industry as it's now known the world over. Other Brit hits last year included the working-class comedy Cremating Charlie, the gritty working-class parable Stick Your Job, and the middle-class comedy of manners in a working-to-lower-middle-class area, My Beautiful Internet Cafe.
He also insisted that the BBC should bring back Let's Be Frank, my 1978 sitcom with Windsor Davis, which, said Sir Donald, was mucked about in the schedules and not given a chance to breathe. Sir Donald always appreciated my versatility and was fond of reminding me that I can do comedy, drama, and have a certificate in fencing and horse riding, which comes in handy for period roles. You should be working much more, he used to say often. I shall never forget his last words to me. You're available right now, aren't you, Geoffrey? He gasped poignantly. And you're dry as a bone these days. I squeezed his hand gently and uttered the words, yes, and my agent, Valerie Smith, at Smith & Partners, is in the book, so fingers crossed I might hear something soon. He'll be sorely missed.
All made by young 20-something first-time new directors making their debut films, and all coincidentally starring Robbie Wandsworth, the godfather of Brit film.
Godfather? I would say that. Well, just me, aren't I? I ain't interested in punching around with no punches.
Wandsworth, who spoke to me between jabs at a punch bag set up in his trailer,
above right,
stars in the Brit film that's already tipped as next year's Death in Chiswick. Set in and around Chiswick, its working title is Late Night Garage, and it's a modern love story centred around a 24-hour petrol station shop that sells Rizzlers and pasties. Wandsworth, keen to break away from playing on-screen hard nuts, plays an on-screen website designer with a dark secret who falls in love with a prostitute, played by Rosie Bark. She spoke to me between sips from a polystyrene cup of tea or coffee between takes on location at a real late-night garage in and around Chiswick.
Oh, I play prosy with an heart of gold. I love working with Robbie as a mate, innit? We have a laugh.
She worked with him on 5 BAFTA-nominated Brit films last year. That was because she had a baby and was off work for 3 months. Director Malcolm Breyer, who directed 3 of the 5 films and the bad episode of Cracker, is also directing this one.
The Felicity James column.
After a particularly amusing dinner party last Thursday, my good friend Jean Ravenscroft surprised me by mentioning that she was only 33 years old. Why are women so much younger these days? What has caused this sudden shift in the female age profile? For proof that women really are getting younger, look no further than my daughter, who is just 19, and all her friends have gone the same way. Women are young again, but are men following suit? My life partner at the moment is a sweet man called Geoffrey, but young, he won't hear of it. Been there, done that, he says, with typical male stubbornness. So, is this young age divide a gender thing? Yes. Women are young simply because they fear rejection from a male-dominated society that refuses to value older women. And I can only conclude that young women are desperately sad, and we must pity them.
10 colours that are now.
New red.
Operatic blue.
Peroxide marshmallow.
Bolivian sunset.
Pale breeze.
Burnt priest.
Flapjack trombone.
Perth de Quila.
Kofi Annan.
Sagacious jazz.
Barry White.
Frank Dawes, A Day on the Dark Side.
Each week, Frank Dawes spends a day experiencing the dark side of life. Last week, he was Welsh for a day. This week, he spends a day being homeless.
Down and Out in Brighton and Hove.
Londoners did not invent homelessness. The homeless are everywhere, except that is at home. My mission is to spend a day actually being homeless, roughing it on the streets of Brighton and Hove.
9 a.m.
Arrive Brighton station with nothing but a sleeping bag, the clothes I stand up in, and £50 cash for emergencies, plus mobile phone. Shuffle through well-heeled crowd of commuters, begin to feel the isolation of the dispossessed.
9:15.
Just an hour with no food, and I'm already thinking about breakfast. It was a full English on the train, and I'm beginning to wish I'd had the basket of toast as well.
9:16.
Find bench. It dawns on me that this is it. This is my home. No dinner parties, no restaurants, no cars to take me to press award ceremonies, just the constant stream of passer-bys, the drip, drip, drip of time. Acres and acres of time, ploughed by loneliness.
10:45.
I'm approached by rough sleeper Fred. No formalities, no surnames, no hostess with an introduction, no canapes. We take each other for what we are. equals. For the street is the ultimate leveller. Fred senses I am like him, walking on the dark side, even though I don't smell quite as strongly.
10 colours to avoid.
Cyan.
Buff.
Campari ginger.
Mustard custard.
Brownish Jeff.
Atomic pale.
Guilty moose.
Banjo duck.
Charred brie.
Gay grey.
Fred asks me some questions. I explain that my £50 is strictly for emergencies. He walks away with no farewells, no "we must do this again soon."
11:32.
Fred returns with friends. Ah, so I have been accepted as one of them, earned their trust and their loyalty. We are brothers and sisters now. More discussion about the £50. I threaten to call the police. They settle for 30.
12:45.
Rejected by fellow rough sleepers, I've learnt to feel what wretches feel. I am indeed pomp that has taken physic. Decided to take refuge in public library. Spend afternoon in reference section catching up on an article for next month's Loaded.
5:30.
Time for the vagabond to return.
7 p.m.
The taxi pulls up. Can this really be my house? Unlock the door and find my wife hardly recognises the hungry Bedouin before her. Learn that my son William is already in secondary school. Find it strange having 4 walls around me. That is because I have walked on the dark side.
Next week, Frank Dawes spends a day being a northerner.
Contemporaneities.
20 questions with Imogen Walker, who is the first television entertainment executive ever to be Imogen Walker.
Where do you hope to be in 20 years?
I can't count up to 20.
Who would you like to be if you weren't you?
I'm really myself anyway.
Where do you like to eat?
Anywhere that Michael Winner isn't.
Do you want to go to heaven?
Only if Michael Winner doesn't.
What's your greatest regret?
Not having any regrets.
What's your worst nightmare?
That one day I'll wake up.
What's your worst nightmare?
That one day I'll wake up.
What thing about yourself would you most like to change?
My inability to accept myself as I am.
What's the most important ingredient in good sex?
Having someone else there with you.
Do you have a pet?
Only pet hates.
What country would you most like to visit?
The past.
What things make you sad?
The future.
What makes you cry?
Onions.
What makes you embarrassed?
I'm too embarrassed to say.
Is there anything you can't talk about?
See above.
Do you believe in luck?
No, it's unlucky.
Is money important to you?
Not at all. By the way, am I getting paid for this?
What makes you really angry?
Being asked that question.
Is there any cause you'd die for?
Häagen-Dazs.
Would you try alternative medicine?
Only if I had an alternative disease.
Finally, can you ever answer a question without trying to be clever?
No, I'm always like this.
Next week, 20 questions with Donna French, the first Londoner ever to go to Birmingham.
Incompetence syndrome.
Photograph. Black and white.
Man in semi-darkness looking out of a kitchen window. Sad, wistful.
Caption.
This man was totally useless.
John Fletcher thought he was totally useless. So did his employers at Happy World Leisure Parks. But Scottish doctor Fred Mackay has discovered that instead of regarding incompetent people as totally useless, they may be suffering from incompetence syndrome, a medical condition which affects people. A gene for incompetence has already been found in a random sample of travel agents.
Above left.
A petition for the recognition of incompetence as a medical condition was signed by over 1,000 useless people, but sadly someone left it on a bus.
Sections of the Sunday format are carefully collated at our print centres and newsagents. If any section of your Sunday format is missing, do please let us know and we will try to trace it for you.
Plus, in the Sunday format this week...
Oh, right. Well, that bit's missing for a start. We'd better give him a ring. Well, there you have it. The Sunday format starred Rebecca Front, Simon Greenall, Tony Gardner, Tracy Ann Oberman, Alice Arnold, David Holt and Nick Revell. It was written by John Morton, Nick Revell and Tony Roach, and there'll be another leaf through the pages, if we get them all, that is, in next Monday's Comedy Zone.